A man named David is sitting at his kitchen table in Austin, Texas, on a Tuesday evening, scrolling through his phone and looking for flights to Miami for the holidays. He finds one that looks reasonable, screenshots it, and texts it to his friend Marcus, who lives 3 blocks away. Marcus opens the same airline app, searches the exact same route, the exact same dates, and stares at his screen for a moment before texting back. His price is $47 higher. Same flight. Same seats. Same day. Same city. Same app. Different price. David thinks it's a glitch. He refreshes. The price stays the same. Marcus refreshes. His price stays the same too. Neither of them can explain what just happened. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you: the airline can explain it perfectly. What just happened to David and Marcus has a name, and that name tells you almost everything you need to know about how much of the modern pricing system actually works. It's called surveillance pricing, and it is not a bug, not a glitch, not an accident of poorly coded software. It is a deliberate, carefully engineered practice in which companies use your personal data, your browsing history, your location, your income signals, your spending patterns, the device you're using, even the time of day your paycheck typically clears, to calculate the maximum price you specifically, individually, are likely to pay before you click away. Not the maximum price the market will bear. The maximum price you will bear. And then they charge you exactly that. Most people, when they hear this for the first time, assume it must be illegal. It sounds like something that should be illegal. 2 people buying the same product at the same moment paying different prices based on private data collected about them without their knowledge feels like it should violate something. Some consumer protection law, some basic principle of fair commerce, some rule that says a price is a price and everyone sees the same one. And here is where this story stops being just surprising and starts being something considerably darker. In the United States in 2026, surveillance pricing is not illegal. It is not even close to illegal at the federal level. Companies are doing it right now, today, across groceries, flights, hotels, rideshares, and e-commerce platforms, and they are doing it within the full boundaries of existing law. The practice isn't hiding. The companies aren't particularly ashamed of it. They've given it softer names internally: personalized pricing, dynamic optimization, demand-based algorithms, and they've built entire technology infrastructures around doing it better, faster, and more precisely than their competitors. To understand how this became possible, you have to understand something that most people have completely wrong about how modern pricing actually works. Most consumers carry around a mental model of pricing that was accurate roughly 30 years ago: the idea that a company sets a price, puts it on a tag or a screen, and charges everyone that price. That model hasn't been fully true for decades, but what's happened in the last several years is that it has become almost entirely fictional. The explosion of personal data collection, combined with artificial intelligence systems capable of processing that data in real time, has transformed pricing from a number into a negotiation, except it's a negotiation you don't know you're having, conducted entirely on the company's terms, using information about you that you didn't knowingly provide, with an outcome that is specifically calibrated to extract as much money from you as possible before you realize what's happening. Here is a fact that should stop you mid-scroll the next time you're shopping online. In December 2025, Consumer Reports published an investigation that caught Instacart, the grocery delivery platform used by millions of Americans, charging different shoppers up to 23% more for identical items at the same store, at the same time, with no explanation offered to the customer seeing the higher price. 23%. On groceries. The item isn't different. The store isn't different. The delivery window isn't different. The only thing that's different is the data profile attached to the person doing the buying, and based on that profile, an algorithm has quietly decided that this particular person is likely to absorb a 23% markup without noticing or pushing back. And in most cases, it was right. But Instacart is not an isolated case, and groceries are not the only category where this is happening. This is where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable, because the more you look at which industries are using surveillance pricing and how, the harder it becomes to find a major sector of the consumer economy that isn't doing some version of it. Airlines have been using personalized pricing algorithms for years. The JetBlue lawsuits filed in April and May of 2026 alleged that the airline used data collected through website tracking to present different customers with different prices for the same flights, with the legal theory being that this constitutes a violation of electronic communications privacy laws. Hotels adjust room rates based on how many times you've searched for a property, with prices sometimes rising simply because you've looked at the same hotel multiple times, a signal the algorithm reads as elevated willingness to pay. Rideshare platforms have long been documented charging higher prices in neighborhoods with lower incomes, on the logic that residents there have fewer transportation alternatives and will therefore pay more before choosing not to use the service. And now here is the part of this story that most people haven't connected yet, the part that ties surveillance pricing to something much larger about the relationship between data and power in the modern economy. The data being used to set these individualized prices wasn't collected for this purpose, or at least, that's not what you were told when you agreed to share it. When you downloaded the airline app and agreed to the terms of service, the data collection was framed as being about improving your experience, personalizing recommendations, making the product more relevant to you. The idea that this data would be fed into a pricing algorithm designed to identify your maximum willingness to pay and charge you accordingly was not prominently featured in the consent flow. It was buried, if it was mentioned at all, in legal language specifically designed to be unreadable by ordinary humans making ordinary decisions about whether to click accept or not. This is the consent architecture that surveillance pricing depends on, not the absence of consent, technically, but the presence of consent obtained under conditions specifically designed to make informed refusal practically impossible. You agreed. The company has your signature, digitally speaking. What you agreed to, and what you understood yourself to be agreeing to, were two entirely different things. And the gap between those two things, between the consent the company has and the understanding the consumer had, is where billions of dollars in additional revenue are being quietly extracted every year from people who have no idea the extraction is happening. Now here is where something shifts from frustrating to genuinely alarming, and this is the detail that state legislators across America started reacting to in early 2026 with a speed and bipartisanship that is unusual in the current political environment. The data inputs being used in some surveillance pricing systems go significantly beyond browsing history and purchase patterns. Researchers and investigators examining these systems have documented cases where pricing algorithms incorporate signals like the neighborhood a consumer lives in, which correlates heavily with income and race, the specific time of month when a purchase is made, with prices calibrated higher around common paycheck deposit dates, and even the type of device being used, with iPhone users in some documented cases being shown higher prices than Android users for identical products, on the reasoning that iPhone ownership correlates with higher income and therefore higher willingness to pay. The algorithm isn't just learning what you've bought. It's building a financial profile of who you are, inferring things about your income, your habits, your vulnerabilities, your financial pressures, and using all of that to decide how much it can take from you. Maryland became the first American state to ban surveillance pricing for grocery products, with the law taking effect October 1, 2026. Connecticut followed. New York's legislature passed its own version. 24 states in total have introduced some form of surveillance pricing legislation in 2026. The speed of this legislative response is itself a signal worth paying attention to. Politicians who agree on almost nothing are finding common ground on this issue because their constituents are angry about it in a way that crosses every demographic line. The person in a rural red county in Texas and the person in an urban blue neighborhood in California have exactly the same reaction when they understand what's being done with their data. They feel robbed. Not because the amount on any single transaction is catastrophic, but because the principle of it, the idea that two people can stand in the same metaphorical store, looking at the same product, and be shown different prices based on what a corporation's algorithm has decided each of them is worth, violates something that most people understood to be a basic rule of commerce. But here is the deepest, most unsettling layer of this entire system, and it's the one that connects surveillance pricing to every other hidden mechanism this channel has examined. The practice works best when you don't know it's happening. An algorithm that charges you more because it has determined you'll pay more is only as powerful as your ignorance of what it's doing. The moment consumers broadly understand that the price they're seeing is not the price, it's a price, calculated specifically for them, based on a profile built from data they didn't consciously hand over, designed to extract the maximum possible amount before they walk away. The moment that understanding becomes widespread, the entire system becomes significantly harder to operate. Because an informed consumer can clear their cookies, use a private browser, switch devices, avoid loyalty programs that feed the data machine, or simply shop around in ways the algorithm didn't anticipate. The system's power comes almost entirely from the information asymmetry between what the company knows about you and what you know about what the company is doing with that knowledge. David in Austin and Marcus 3 blocks away are still trying to figure out why their flight prices were different. Neither of them will ever get a clear answer, because the airline has no legal obligation to explain its pricing algorithm, no requirement to disclose that personalized pricing was used, and every financial incentive to keep the methodology proprietary. The price difference will remain mysterious. Marcus will probably pay it, because the flight is convenient and $47 doesn't feel worth the argument. The algorithm was right about that too. It almost always is. That's not because these companies are uniquely clever or uniquely predatory. It's because they have spent years building systems specifically calibrated to be right about exactly this, about how much each individual person will absorb before they push back. And they've gotten very, very good at it. The next time you see a price on your screen, it is worth asking one question that the screen will never answer for you. Is this the price? Or is this your price? The number a system that knows more about your financial behavior than you consciously realize has decided you specifically will pay, calculated to be just low enough that you don't walk away, and just high enough to take everything it can? Because in 2026, for a growing number of the products and services that move through the digital economy, those are two very different numbers. And only one of them is ever shown to you. If pulling back the surface on the systems quietly deciding what you pay, what you own, and what you're worth to the companies you buy from is something that matters to you, subscribe to the Uncovered Context, because what we just uncovered is only one algorithm in a much larger machine.